Thank you very much, Carlos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this second presentation in the very first session at the TMC 2018, which hasn't even been officially opened yet. So it's a pre-session. Anyway, I would like to present to you, or start off the presentation, which is about how to bring an old university, a very traditional and also traditionalistic university, into the 21st century, so that it becomes not just a bastion of history, but also it becomes basically a guiding light for technological development and social advancement. So first I will introduce you very briefly to BME, and then I will also talk about some of the alumni who are basically the sources of our, well, basically there are credentials, so to say, in the international scene. So this is mostly where a university is located. Mostly, I say, because of course now it is on a much bigger campus. It starts here, ends there, that's about 1,800 meters. And then it goes more further down to the south with another 900 meters of a campus. So it's very nice and very cozy in the heart of Budapest. That's of course the River Danube at the foot of Gellért Hill. So it's actually in a very pleasant location. But of course, I'm not here to teach you about the touristic things or anything. I'm trying to present how we are trying to make this a second home for future students. So BME has been guided by 2 centuries of change. It was founded back in 1782 by Emperor Joseph II, one of the more progressive emperors of the Austrian Empire, later Austria-Hungary. And it was originally founded as a school of miners, basically. It started from very humble beginnings of civil engineering, or what we would call civil engineering. And all throughout the centuries, it was an active part of shaping the country, changing the economy of the country, changing society. So it supported Hungary's industrial revolution with civil, mechanical engineers, but also through the development of chemical technology and architecture. And I actually have a very interesting point to make, because Carlos said that engineering, by its very nature, is very gender unbalanced. We have one point where this is not true. In 1901, the Faculty of Chemical Technology was already dominated by women. Now the situation, if you excuse this wording, is even worse, because gender balance is on its head, because it's 70% women, 30% men. In my very own faculty, and I teach at the Faculty of Economics and Social Sciences, it's 90 for the girls and 10 for the boys. So, you know, even an engineering university can touch up on its reputation of being male-dominated or female-dominated. So anyway, it doesn't necessarily have to be unbalanced. What he was saying about these Sustainable Development Goals, those are, by the way, not impossible goals, so those can be met. This is also part of the challenge that we face at this university, that those Sustainable Development Goals need to be filled up not by just hot air, but clever ideas, brilliant, smart ideas, that we are generating also here and at your own institutions as well. So we will have to address the issue of how universities, of course, interact in networks, but we will also have to look at, more importantly, for the second part of this presentation, of how we can pass on that knowledge, how we can move on with passing on that knowledge to the students who actually come to this very old institution. So let's have some facts today. BME consists of 8 faculties. We have about 77 departments with well over 1,000 members of staff, 700 of whom have scientific degrees. Now that number, of course, fluctuates a little bit, because there are some people on the incoming end, but also, unfortunately, some people on the outgoing end. There are also members of the Hungarian Academy of Sciences, as I said. Student numbers are more or less than 23,000, and as you can see, international students, courses on the English language programs are in about their thousands. Now, that doesn't make it a very international university, but it does make it one university that is definitely trying to change this reputation, and we are trying to improve on that number. So we are very busy with international activities. I am not going to bore you by reading this. First of all, you are mostly members of these anyway, so I don't need to tell you anything about this. But as you can see, there are some global organizations, some regional organizations, European organizations, which is great. This enables us to do a lot of things, but whilst this is great, it's also a headache. As a person who's interested in the future of my own university, BME, I'm wondering, how can an ordinary, everyday teacher make the most of this? I mean, I look at these and I'm seeing loads and loads of opportunities, of course. And I'm trying to think, how can I, who is actually in contact with my own students, can make the educational program better? So that is a perpetual challenge that we have, and that transition is, of course, something that we are trying to work on. But I must admit it's not always easy because, of course, I said we are a very traditionalist institution, and that does not allow change to take place very quickly. We also have some exchange partnerships, which does help. So we do have a lot of students coming in and out. We also have teachers going in and out, which really does help us get on the work practice, on the job training, basically to improve our own programs back home. So we have all of these exchange programs which are very good for everyone, and also, as you can see, these are intended not just for the foreign students, but mostly these are actually intended for the local students. How do we decide on what we are going to be good at? Well, first of all, what the market dictates. As an economist, that's the first thing that I'm going to say. Whatever the market dictates is what we're going to go with. But also, as a state-funded university, we need to have some key competences. We are a research university, which is a Hungarian legal term, meaning that if you have 8 faculties, you can be a research university because apparently you're competent. That's basically the minimum requirement, but then there are, of course, some other ones on top of it. These are the 5 key competences, which means most of the research that is going on at BME falls into one of these 5 categories. Now, as I already mentioned, based on what Carlos was saying, we can, of course, relate a lot of these to the Sustainable Development Goals, and of course we have to. It's just how we put this into practice and how we implement this is what is going to be a little bit more challenging. But then I have some famous alumni for you. I'm sure you will recognize this guy. If you don't, well then have a look at what he's holding in his hands. No, he's not the Marlboro Man. He is, of course, Erno Rubik. Well, I mean, I don't know how he came up with the name for that cube, but anyway, there you go. Rubik's Cube, of course. He's made a fortune on that. And the only thing he wanted to do is basically challenge his students to do something impossible. And then he got so excited by his own challenge that he just basically did it. Oh, well, there you go. There's another famous alumnus. And no, it's not me, it's the other guy. I'm not sure if you recognize him, but I have him dressed in a slightly different attire in this one. Yes, he's one of our astronauts, rather the first one, and the only one if you don't count Space Tours. Charles Chimonyi really messed it up for us. Anyway, so he was one of our alumni, and then Dennis Gabor was a Nobel Prize winner for reholography, so Star Wars literally would not be the same without him. And then we also have Eugene Wigner, who also won the Nobel Prize for a pollution that affects nuclear reactors, named after him. So the Wigner pollution is basically his namesake. And George Olah, who sadly died last year, and I forgot to put his death date there, I'm sorry about that, died a year ago, got his Nobel Prize for organic chemistry, and he insisted on not trying to inspire university students, but like we had a session before here, trying to inspire soon-to-be university students to try to make a point of what they can become if they actually pay attention in class. Edward Teller was the father of the hydrogen bomb, and he was one of the nuclear guys who was basically trained at our university, along with Leo Szilard, who was there with his chain reactions. And the adage holds that when they were working mutually on the Manhattan Project, when they were both working on the Manhattan Project, eventually all the Americans would go home and some Hungarians would remain, and then they basically, as they were checking out, they would say, all right, now you can go on with talking in your weird little language. So basically, a sad truth for us is part of the Manhattan Project was actually developed in Hungarian. That's something that we're not necessarily so proud of, but oh well, there you go. That's also part of our history. Kalman Kondo was, of course, a very important engineer for electromotive traction. He is world famous in Italy and in Switzerland and in Hungary, where his traction systems were one of the earliest ones to be implemented for electromotive traction. In other countries, his system didn't really propagate, but he is certainly very important there. And we also have Theodor von Karman, and he is, well, not really the one who invented winglets, but he's basically responsible for the creation of winglets on the tips of airplanes, because he's discovered that there's a terrible vortex which is basically decreasing the lift the lift that can be measured on wings, and based on his studies, it was later figured out that winglets are the solution, which help increase that lift once again. So that's it for my part, and now we will continue with the second part, which is for creating a home for international students, which is continued by Valéria, Balogh. Thank you.
So, I would like to talk about our university, how we can create a new home, a second home for our students. But, of course, before that, I would like to introduce myself a little bit, because I would like to show how many ways I belong to this university. So I studied in this university around 30 years ago, and I became a mechanical engineer. After that, our life changed a lot, so I went back and I became a maths and physics teacher, so I got my second degree from this university as well. My third degree is also from this university because I became manager. I played cello in this symphonic orchestra of the university, and I met my husband there as well, and I guess that was my best choice in my life. Sorry, darling. And he got 2 degrees also from this university, and he is an honor professor there as well. And after that, our children, they are also very important for us. So, for example, my son, so we could do this meeting also in our flat at home. So he has 2 degrees also from this university. He is a PhD degree as well, and he teaches at this university 10 years. And of course, I cannot forget about our daughter who gets her certificate on this university. So you can imagine that when we have lunch or dinner at home, definitely we talk about this university. So this is our life. So when we invite the students to our university, we know very well that they have many problems. They come in their age, which is very difficult for everybody. They are around 18 or 20 years old, and they come a brand new country, and they have to change their life. They came from a different culture, and they would like to know many things about our country. So when they arrive first, before they arrive, we send them a greeting cards. They can see there our programs, and of course we write a message for them as well. So first when they arrive, I organize for them a program, Hungarian Day for Foreign Students, and in this event they can see some performance about our history from the 10th century, when the Hungarians arrived from Asia to Europe. And after that they can see how they fight against each other. You can see there my husband, and they have a Hungarian traditional lunch. Of course, goulash soup, which is very important, and Hungarian funk. And after that, they can study Hungarian dances. We can show them the Easter tradition when the boys greet the girls with perfume. And they can study Hungarian dances, or even they can study Hungarian songs as well. Of course, we would like to show for them our capital city as well. So we visited the houses of parliament, we went into the opera theater, we went to the music academy. It was amazing when we were there with the students, and I sat on the balcony, and I could see that they were waving to me, and there was a Chinese PhD student from the electrical engineering faculty, and next to her there was a Libyan student from the civil engineering faculty who studied the BSc program, and they started to talk. And they started to build a bridge, which is very important for us and for them as well, because the young generation they are able to do and build bridges between the countries, between the universities. And I'm sure when they meet at the university, they can help each other, and maybe they will not become friends, but definitely they will very helpful to each other. And after that we went to the Erkel Theater and the Operetta Theater, and of course we visited many different places. Also we wanted to show them our country. So first we went to the west part of the country. We visited a beautiful cathedral there, and we went into a palace, and of course the Hungarian traditional food. It is very important for the young boys and girls. They enjoy that, as you see there. And also we went to Sopron. That was the Pannonian Sea million years ago, and we went to the Pan-European Picnic Memorial Park, and they enjoyed this trip. After that we went to the northeast part of Hungary, and that was a beautiful dripstone cave. You can see the lunch is very important for the Hungarian people, because we say that if we sit and eat at the white table, it is very good for everybody, although the table is not white. But you can see again the Chinese PhD student, the Iranian MSc student, a boy from Vietnam who is BSc student, and two girls from Brazil. So they sit next to each other and they start to build a bridge. Nothing common between them, only just that they study at our university. And this is very important, because when they meet and they know each other, finally they realize that they are similar, they are almost same. Although their background is very different, their culture is very different, but finally they can build a bridge. So we offer a chance for them, an opportunity, and we give the first part of the bridge, and they can build another part of the bridge. And after that we went to another museum. According to the Guinness World Records, this is the biggest book in the world, and visited different museums. This is the way how they can print the book and how they can prepare the paper. And we could organize it, of course, with our children. That I was in the part of this museum, and I tried to explain how they prepared this book. My daughter was in and gave information about the Bibles, and my son was here with the machines. And after that we visited Eger. It is very good for the students, because we organize for them everything, so they don't have to wait for the bus, they don't have to buy tickets, because the Hungarian people, they don't speak very well in English, so it is a very big help for them. And I ordered every time an organ concert for them for example, in this cathedral. And we visited this Turkish minaret, and you can see they enjoyed that very much. And of course, the end of the day, they could taste Hungarian red wine, but also I know, because I have children as well, so they have to eat something before they taste the wine. And when we go home, he is the winner, because of course I taught them Hungarian folk songs as well, and this guy was who dared to sing it alone. So finally he got a red wine, a bottle of red wine. After that we turned to the south part of Hungary. We visited Pécs, another cathedral. A boy from Brazil, he wrote an email to his grandmother that we visited a Christolic church, and his grandmother was very proud of him that he went to the church. And this is the transparent concrete, because they can study also. And that was an unusual, that when we went on the street, the Hungarian high school students came to us and gave them free hugs for our beautiful, handsome boys. Of course, they could realize also that, oh my God, we are from Brazil, you are from Hungary, and we are same, because we like each other. So after that we went to the east part of Hungary. They always told me that they would like to visit Puszta. Puszta means nothing. So I told them that if you cannot see anything, that means we arrived. So of course we could see the animals. We visited a special lake which is in the national park. And with horse carriages we could go to the Puszta. And this is the symbol of Hungary and Hortobágy as well, which is more than 150 years old. And of course, we had another lunch. Of course, they had to study Hungarian folk songs as well. And here is the gypsy music. After that, we organized sports day for them. Because every year at the university we have sports day, and what happened in that time, the students stay at home in bed, so they are not active. And I thought that we can change. So I organized a sports day for them, where they could play ball games, they could run in the forest, and also they could swim in the swimming pool. So these are the football teams, the winners, and of course the culture, it is always there. So we visited another very old church, and finally they could swim there. Next year they asked me to visit the Balaton. This is our sea, because we don't have bigger lake. So we went to the Balaton. It is a beautiful place. Of course, first we went into the cathedral. So first, before they drink anything, I give them the culture, and after that they can relax. So we went first to the organ concert, and after that we went to the museum, and there was a small lake, and next to it they could play football games, and also after that they could swim. You can see that they enjoyed, the South Korean students did it, and they could swim there. We organized a competition as well. Of course, I am always with them, so this head is mine. After that, they asked me to go abroad, and I always told them, why do you want to go abroad? Because you are already abroad. You came from different countries, more than 50 countries. But just because they asked, so we went to Vienna, and we visited the Schönbrunn Castle, which is, of course, beautiful. We went in. You can see the photos, and again, the Hungarian lunch, because when we arrived back to Hungary, we ordered the dinner for them. But of course, they can study many things during these trips. An engineer can study everywhere something. But we organized also a United Nations program. It is a kind of model. This guy, an Indian student, organized it. And of course, they invited a speaker as well, who is my daughter. And you can see again the students. They are from many different countries. And he is the vice dean who helped to organize, and you can see again the students. And this is the one part, how we would like to help to the students to create a second home for them. This is what we can show about Hungary, about our culture, but of course we would like to see their culture as well, and it would be very important for us. So we organized the international festival for our students, where the student can prepare some performances or presentation. I mentioned already the model of United Nations, when the student can study how they can discuss, how they can prepare their opinion, how they can defend their opinion, which is very important, how they can tolerate the opinion of the other person as well. During this festival, which was of course very enjoyable, they can study also how they can prepare a presentation. A student, 22, 23 years old, they don't know how long is 5 minutes, how they can build a presentation. And they did it because we didn't want to talk about anything else, just how they like, how they see their own country. Without any politics things, without geography, because we can see everything in the internet, but we would like to see their country, how they like it. So, for example, this is about China. They could sing, and of course, they prepared something outside the ceremony hall as well. The South Korean dancers, Indonesian, Algerian. Look at their face. They are beautiful. Nothing common between them, just they study at our university. The Mongolian girl, I guess he is really, really beautiful. Next one is from Palestine, the other one from Morocco. After that, I guess from Turkey. He is from Algeria. she is from Algiers, then he is from Uganda, then also another one from Algiers and Mexico. They really enjoy, just look at their face, they are very happy and satisfied. And these are the performances, the dances. Also you can see Mongolian, after that Kenya, Palestine, and here the Indonesian. And in front of the ceremony hall, you can see they enjoy that very much. And of course the organizer. So I guess this is the way how we can build a bridge between countries, between the students, how we can help for the student to live in Budapest, live in Hungary. And I hope if they feel themselves they are at home in Hungary, they can study. It helps them, and when they would like to go home, very often they told us that they don't want to leave this country. Of course they will go home, but they never will forget about it, and they will become our ambassadors. And when they leave Hungary, after that, this university and this country will be always in their memory. And if anybody will ask something about our country, they will remember of these things. So thank you very much for your kind attention.